Okay, this video accompanies the 1.5 unit on conditional statements. This is the mathematical literacy and vocabulary. Let's take a look at these. So basically on these, we want to be able to write the different forms with what they give us. So we've got these examples. Let's look at the exercises. What are the converse, inverse, contrapositive, and biconditional of the following conditional statement? So let's see, if the animal is a bird, then the animal has wings. The best way to do this is to take the hypothesis part, put a single underline, take the conclusion part, and double underline it. This is our Q. This is our P. We want the converse, exchange the hypothesis and conclusion. So if Q, then P is the converse form. Let's go ahead and do these others. The inverse, you leave P where it's at and add a not. You leave Q where it's at and add a not. The contrapositive, you flip the order and you add nots. So we have not Q, then not P. And the biconditional is an if and only if. That's a double arrow. So P double arrow Q. And that really shows that Q, if Q then P is true, and if P then Q are both true. So that's what the double arrow signifies. So we want to rewrite this in these forms. So we want to write the converse of if an animal is a bird, then the animal has wings. So if an animal has wings, then the animal is a bird. So if animal has wings, then it's a bird. So the Q part has been written first after the if, and the then part, or the if part, has been written second after the then. So the Q and the P have been interchanged. To write the inverse of that statement, you add nots to the original order. So if the animal is not a bird, then the animal does not have wings. So if animal is not a bird, then it does not have wings. And this doesn't really have anything to do with whether they're true or not. Once we formed the new form, if we needed to check those, we would have to evaluate each one separately in terms of its truth value. But just to form the inverse, you have not P implies not Q. So you just add nots to the P and you add nots to the Q, nots to the hypothesis and nots to the conclusion. The contrapositive, you flip the order, so you have QP and it's not Q, not P. So here's our Q. So if the animal does not have wings, then it is not a bird. Then it is not a bird. And there we have put the negatives in, and we also interchange the Q and the P's. Now the biconditional, basically you need to write it with if and only if in between. So an animal is a bird if and only if it has wings. And if with two F's really means if and only if. So that would be the biconditional. An animal is a bird if and only if it has wings. You also could have wrote if an animal has wings, if and only if it is a bird. Either one of those would be a biconditional form of that. and say 2. That's it for the mathematical literacy page.